Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, October 19th. If you have any questions or business comments, come up to the microphone, give us your name and address, tell us what's on your mind. Have the roll call, please.
Cedar.
Here.
Ellery.
Here.
Kinsfater.
Here.
Koopa.
Here.
Laporte.
Here.
McCartney.
Here.
Watt.
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I would ask for a motion to add to the closed session, discuss a confidential attorney-client communication concerning a legal opinion from counsel.
So move, Your Honor. Support.
All right, call the roll, please.
Ellery.
Yes.
Kinsfater.
Yes.
Koopa.
Yes.
Laporte.
Yes.
McCartney.
Yes.
Watt.
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
Thank you. Go to 4, consent agenda, A City Council minutes of October 5th, 2020, regular and closed meetings, recommendation approved. B is the St. Clair Historical Commission minutes of June 11th, July 9th, August 13th, December 10th, 2020 meetings, recommendation received. C, Golf Commission minutes of August 11th, 2020 meeting, recommendation received. D is the Planning Commission minutes of August 12th, 2020 meeting, recommendation received. And E, Cemetery Board of Trustees minutes of September 1st, 2020 meeting, recommendation received.
Motion to approve A through E as presented.
Support.
All right, the motion made. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's go to number 5, order resolutions. Resolution 2016 authorizing final approval of master plan. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, Your Honor. The city master plan has made its way through the Planning Commission, and as required by the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, the next step is to basically take the draft of the plan and go public with it. And there's a 63-day review period where the city is obligated to send the copies of the plan out to various entities like the county, the utility companies. And then after the conclusion of the 63-day period, the Planning Commission will then hold a public hearing on the master plan, and then ultimately will vote to adopt that master plan. What this resolution does, though, is and it has to be passed now before we initiate the 63-day review plan, is it basically says we as the city council would like to give final approval of the plan. So that's all this resolution does. It lets the Planning Commission move forward with the process. They will have a public hearing. The draft will be out there for 63 days. And then once the Planning Commission approves the plan, it will come back to City Council for final approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Support the resolution.
All right, questions or comments?
I would just like to say that this is primarily going to be shared online. It's a big document, so the public will have access to it on our website and all interested parties.
I just have a question for Member Laporte as he serves on the planning. Are you guys pretty much all the way through? Have you been through
Most of it.
the master plan and?
It's well written. This is the one that we hired the county to help us.
Correct. And
County
then
planners.
any of the discussions that were brought up during your meeting, I've seen some of the minutes, there were some questions regarding some retail space that was wrongly identified.
Yeah.
As an example, Rivers Bend Marina. Those things have been
Those have
submitted,
been
corrected.
Yep.
So I noticed through reading, there's a lot of things that are totally different with this master plan than I've ever seen in previous master plans.
That is correct.
So
It's a lot more accurate. It's a lot more detail on it. The
when this
county
comes back from planning, we're going to have 100% planning endorsement on this master plan?
Yes.
There's a lot of things it's asking the city to do that, other than ordinances and, making resolutions to change ordinance, there's a lot of things about walkability, bike path, livability.
It's all in there.
So it's pretty comprehensive if anyone's had a chance to look at it. So,
Probably the best we've had in a long time.
thanks.
Anybody else? Call the roll, please.
Kinsfater.
Yes.
Koopa.
Yes.
Laporte.
Yes.
McCartney.
Yes.
Watt.
Yes.
Ellery.
Yes.
Cedar.
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Number 6, reports administration. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, a few items to report on this evening. Beginning Wednesday, we will be conducting interviews to fill our DPW laborer position. This is essentially Fred Robbins' replacement. I spoke a few weeks ago about how the state of Michigan came and did an inspection on our stormwater activities with that stormwater permit we have. Pleased to say that the state found us to be in compliance with our permit. There was a few very minor items they wanted clarification on or information on. The biggest one was they needed us to create essentially a pollution prevention plan for our DPW site. Director Beath has already been meeting with our environmental engineering consultant, ECT, to make sure that plan is created and submitted to the state as required, but otherwise we were found to be in substantial compliance with all the requirements of that permit. Reminder on leaf pickup. Traditionally, the city relies on waste management for bag leaf pickup throughout the month of October. That service, the bag leaf service ends November 1st. So beginning November 1st, the city will begin in earnest to begin leaf pickup. However, we know people are already putting the leaves out now, so we're going to begin the sporadic collection of leaves in the very near future. Second or third, this week you may also see representatives from AEW driving around town. They're doing our biannual Pazer ratings of our roads. I think it's really important that we show, as we have this road millage, we can show the public the improving conditions and ratings of all the streets in the city. So they're going to be in town conducting that work this week. Regarding the last thing I have is regarding the idea with the cell tower lease that we've been talking about. I sent an email out yesterday with some clarifying, what my current position is. I will say that just a few hours ago I did receive that second offer now. I haven't had a chance to go through all the terms and conditions, but it was in the amounts of $505,000. So again, I just wanted to update everybody that that is the new number. I haven't familiarized myself with the terms and conditions, and my current recommendation is essentially I want council to consider, if you think there is a good chance that this type of technology will be obsolete or not needed within the next 22 years, selling the tower and cashing out. And again, when I say selling the tower, I'm saying selling our interest in the lease. That might make sense, depending on council's will, or if they think that the tower might still be needed 22 years from now. Regardless, the most important thing is getting the terms and, besides the price is right, great, but the terms and conditions, having spoken with a few consultants now, they've taught me things that I didn't necessarily know how these things typically work. So I think that if we were to move forward, I would potentially recommend that we engage with a consultant if we ultimately decide to move forward with that type of transaction. And with that concludes my report for the evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Warren, did you check on that cell tower on west of Range?
I wasn't able to figure out what that was yet.
Your Honor, I do.
Yeah.
You mentioned that yard waste and bag leaf service will end with our waste provider November 1st.
Yes.
Should we be advising the citizens not to put bag leaves and the canisters out with yard waste any longer and just rake the leaves to the curb? I mean, we don't pick up bag leaves, do we? So if we're not going to have them picked up after November 1st, then they shouldn't put bags out?
Yeah, we can advise them of that, certainly.
And you talked about AEW doing, riding around doing road surveys?
Yeah.
Do we have anybody doing our sidewalk surveys?
We
To
don't
let us
have,
know what the conditions of our sidewalks are?
we don't
Other
have
than
a
what we
form.
already know? Do we have that? Do we pay anyone to do that?
Council did that.
Butch did it.
Butch did it. First
Which was a
ward.
one-man sidewalk crew.
That's good. Do we pay a service? Do we pay a service like we do pay our roads to have anyone evaluate our sidewalks in the city of St. Clair?
No.
We don't think that's would be a useful benefit to the city?
Would AEW provide that service or no?
That might be a service they would be able to provide for us. I can look into that.
Yeah.
No offense, Butch.
Maybe I should get reimbursed for
You
my
covered,
time.
you covered a little bit of one ward. I'm just was thinking about
That was the
entire
direction.
city.
Everybody was supposed to walk their own ward.
Yeah.
Anything else, anybody?
I would actually, Director Beath just sent me this information earlier today. With all our road projects this year, we did 184 feet in Ward 1, 923 feet in Ward 2, and 152 feet in Ward 3.
Of what, sidewalk?
Yes.
Good.
Yep. So we were able to hit all 3 wards with, with our various road projects and then the sidewalk work we had completed.
Any other questions for Mr. Rothie? All right, we'll go to B. City Attorney, Mr. Downey, got anything tonight?
I have nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Any questions for Mr. Downey? Let's go to C. City Departments. Anybody out there?
Yes, Your Honor. Just a few things. 2 weeks from tomorrow is the general election. Polls will be open on November 3rd from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sample ballots are available here on display or also at michigan.gov/vote. And just to let you guys know where we're at number-wise, as of today, the City of St. Clair has issued 1,527 ballots. We've received back already 954. So the number 1527 is significant because that is already 35% of our registered voters have already requested, and most have returned their ballots already. So that is the highest percentage that we've seen in the City of St. Clair for absent voters. I still anticipate a very busy day. Again, polls will be open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., but I just thought that was really interesting to say. And just another public acknowledgement of the deadline to return those ballots is 8 p.m. on Election Day, November 3rd. So online voter registration closed today. So if there are any new registered voters, they need to come into their local clerk's office and provide documentation of residency to get that completed. And the clerk's office is required by law to be open 8 hours the weekend prior to a general election, or any election actually. So the City of St. Clair clerk's office will be open from 10 to 2 on both Saturday and Sunday, October 31st and November 1st, to issue absent voter ballots only. And then that's it for the election. Then the other thing I just wanted to mention is that over the weekend, we had 2 new retail businesses have their grand opening, which I think is pretty impressive. I mentioned before that we had a couple home occupations and some new businesses opening in town in the midst of a pandemic. I think that's pretty amazing. So be sure to go check them out. They're located in Riverview Plaza, Le Marché, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but the spelling is A-M-U-N-N-I. Does anyone know?
Mooney.
Amuni? Amuni. So retail businesses downtown St. Clair. So I'll be happy to answer any election questions, but that completes my report for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. We meet the night before the election, so we'll get that speech again that night.
One last time.
One more time. All right. We'll go to D, authorities, commissions, committee chairs. Anybody have anything? Number 7, we have no unfinished business. Let's go to 8, new business, Brew Boathouse lease transfer, 1147 South 5th Street. Is that you, Lauren, or Annette?
Yes, Your Honor. Before you is a recommended motion to approve a boathouse lot lease transfer. The request is made to City Council to transfer the lease of a city-owned boathouse area property along the Pine River. The transfer is a result of a direct sale from boathouse owner. The other owner no longer meets the residency requirements. So the recommended motion is to approve the boathouse lease transfer from M. Karras to K. Kemp for 1147 South 5th Street. Are there any questions on the process or qualifications or anything?
I'm assuming they went through the list as usual.
Yes, yep, the proper procedure as stated in the ordinances was followed, yes.
Move to approve the lease transfer.
I'll support it.
Right, the motion's made. Support. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 1 nay vote. Mr. Ellery.
Noted, thank you.
Let's go to B. Palmer Park tree maintenance. Mr. Rothie.
Yes,
Okay, you-
I can kick us off. Before you are 4 quotes for tree services in Palmer Park. The majority of the work will be essentially trimming of trees to ensure a canopy height of around 12 feet. The work also calls for the removal of 4 trees that were identified by an arborist as candidates for removal. Now you notice that the quotes do fall underneath my what I have the authority to approve on my own. However, with the highly visible just nature of this project, it's maintenance and trees in our most celebrated park, I wanted to bring it before City Council for your consideration and input. And any more questions can be directed to Director Beat. who's here this evening. And just to clarify that the recommendation is to award the bid to Timbers Tree Service.
In the amount of $6,800.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support that motion.
Motion made, supported. Questions? Call the roll, please.
Kufa?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
McCartney?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Ellery?
Yes.
Kinsfater?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
Thank you. Go to number 9, claims and accounts, October 9 and 15th, 2020.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to number 10, public comment, 3 minutes. If you have anything non-agenda items, anybody want to have anything to say tonight?
Dan Casey couldn't make it this evening. He's up north at a conference. But in attendance, I've got Al Francis and Susan Sabula, the East China Schools superintendent. We had met with Suzanne probably 4 or 5 months ago regarding Eddy Elementary, gearing, and some of the adjacent property. Some of the things in part of our Blue Meets Green process that we do a lot of planning on a yearly type of level. And redevelopment of old schools is a priority in St. Clair County. Currently, we have 6 vacant school buildings countywide, and we've probably got some more to come, right? Very hard to redevelop schools, those types of things. So we had some meetings with Suzanne, Dan Casey with the EDA, along with our planning department, to talk about some of the potential tools in the toolbox to help redevelop some of these schools and turn them into some useful things. I know a few of the city council members. I know, Steve, you were there. I'm thinking Bill, maybe Butch. We got an opportunity to look at an old school up in Yale a couple of years ago. We went up there, something that looked very similar to Eddy that was turned into a senior living component. So, you know, trying to get these types of things and get these schools going again. We had some meetings, obviously, earlier this year to look at some of the vacant properties, just to have some discussions. What we found going through this, there's a couple roads that still need to be vacated in the property, and Al's going to speak a little bit about that tonight. Probably pretty similar to what happened over on 6th Street. You got these roads that have been in for 100 years, and they're, you know, a little bit slivers. I know he gave you some information, but it's something between the city and the county and the East China Schools. It's some things that we really want to try to work together to really turn these things into a success story, because at the end of the day, as I said earlier, these things are really difficult to redevelop and put into useful purpose. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to
Good evening, Your Honor and Council. Al Francis, and I work attorney in Port Huron. I'm helping the school district vacate a couple of streets. I gave a map, and I'm sorry I was one short, but I gave a map highlighting in green just the 2 small areas. And so these are areas. One is a street that on the plat is called Hugo Street, and another is not named on the plat, but it would be, I think, just west of where Eddy Elementary sits. So these streets are on the plat that's recorded with the Register of Deeds dating back to the late 1800s. And under the state of Michigan laws, I think the city's familiar, we have to go file a circuit court action in order to get those portions of the street actually removed from the plat. The process and the legality of doing it is not complex, but the problem is, and I'm probably aware, is that everybody that owns property within 300 feet has to be identified as a defendant in this case. And because of where this property is, that's about 300 people that are city residents that will be identified as defendants. So we're not seeking to remove any street or alley or right-of-way that has, as far as I know, ever been used. I know they've never been developed. I don't believe they've ever been used. I think that everyone who had never looked at the plat probably assumed it was just part of the school district property all along. But unfortunately, it's not. The way that I normally handle this, and I held off on sending this out to anybody yet. We filed the complaint or the lawsuit, but I haven't served anybody because I know your phones will probably ring as soon as these letters go out. People get a little leery when they're named as a defendant in a lawsuit. But the way that I approach these is I have a form letter that I'll send to all the interested parties, the individuals that own property, explaining what we're doing, explaining what we're not doing, even more importantly, and offering them a document that I call a consent to relief, or a consent which states that they have no objection to the streets being vacated, the property being transferred to the owner of the property abutting the streets, which in this case is the school district, and then telling them they don't have to participate in the lawsuit. Typically, I'll get, I don't know, between 35 to 50% of the people that respond with those, and the other remaining parties generally don't respond at all, which is fine. We still go forward with relief. The process is managed basically by the Attorney General's office, who has to approve any sort of judgment, any sort of amending of the plat, and it's saw by the court. The city will be a defendant because the property is located in the city, but again, that's all we're trying to do. So I wanted to come here. I'm more than happy to send a letter indicating that to make myself available for a meeting in the public. If anybody wants to come and have questions, I can do it with just the paper consent. Whatever the city would prefer, I'm happy to do, which is, again, why I've kind of held off on sending these out yet. So, and there's one other issue that I talked to Mr. Downey about, and I'm going to follow up with him in the next day or two. The green portion of the western, it's called Hugo Street, but it's the western portion of the two roads or streets that are being vacated. The highlighted portion is only the spot on which the school district owns both sides. The right-of-way for Hugo on the plat actually extends all the way between Adams and what would be Orchard. We could seek to just amend the plat to get rid of the entire stretch, as opposed to just the stretch by the school district property. And Mr. Downey was going to speak with some individuals at the city in the next couple days, because if we're going to do that, it's really no additional work for us, but doing it before we start sending the letters out is the way that we need to do it. So that would be the only potential change to the drawing that you have, or the highlighted map that you have. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Is this work being done in preparation of a sale? Is there a sale pending that's pushing this work through?
They needed to get done to sell the property. So when they do split, so if you do develop Eddie and they want to carve that off, and then if you do develop the other property that Gary sells at a later date, you got to get those road issues cleared up too. This is, if you won't get developed, you know.
Right.
Any other questions from Mr. Francis? Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah, and I'll speak with Mr. Downey, if that's all right with the city, on the rest of the issues. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Any other public comment tonight?
So, going to shift gears. I dropped that 3 different scenarios to everybody. We had the concerts this summer. We had a whopping 3 weeks to maybe put it together. And I think a lot of you got an opportunity to attend, and it was super successful. If you talk to the businesses down there, it was a home run. But early preparations this year, working with Kathy Verton, working with and work with Therese. We've had conversations, and the chamber on this. And this is just the entertainment piece of it. And then Kathy's working on some of her stuff, and we're going to have something that will be able to come, before the board. We looked at different scenarios, and we're really looking at the third page scenario, which is having 4 months worth of entertainment, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then when we get into July and August, we're looking at having entertainment Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and Sunday. That is actually 83 shows just in that, and then what Kathy's going to be working on with the theater. So there's potential to have a lot of activity. I've already went to multiple businesses in the mall, have gotten lots of support. We're going to be going to the Community Foundation in February to talk to them about some matching dollars for grant situations and stuff. And we just want to take, I guess, what we had last year and just really build on it. I think last year really opened some eyes for everybody to see, how just how good this thing can really be and stuff. So that's where we're at. When you look at these budgeted numbers or estimates, but they're pretty close. When we hire bands, it's usually $200 a band member. So, if you got 5 band members, you get $1,000. If there's 2 guys playing, it's $400. So there's, it's pretty spot on, so.
Good. Keep up the good work. It was a huge success.
Yeah, it was.
Good luck, Jeff. Thank you. Any other public comment tonight? All right, we'll go to number 11 then. Mayor and Council, I have 3 things real quick. Congratulations to Chamber of Commerce. Their Haunted Trail was a big success over the last Thursday and Friday. Great turnout. There is a vacancy on the Housing Commission starting January 1st. If anybody wants to serve on that, they can apply at City Hall. Over the last few years, I've had people coming to me and asking me about the boardwalk and swimming and trying to get out on those ladders that are just wrought iron, basically, and how hard it is for people a little older than 30. Long story short, I was approached by some people and said, why don't you guys put some steps up out of there? And I went down there and looked at the north end where it kind of jags in there. I talked to Mr. Beeth about it, and we talked to Malcolm Marine. And for about $5,000, which we'll do the whole thing, it'll be a pulley system that'll lower the steps into the river, and then we can take them out every year, lift them right up. I would go to try to get some grants. If you guys give me the blessing to keep moving with it. I did ask Mr. Downey's opinion on this, and would you share that with us right now, Mr. Downey?
Essentially, there's not a liability issue. It's something that I did recommend that we take up with the city's insurer, just to be sure. But those types of safety measures generally aren't something that bring liability. So that was a concern of the mayor's and Mr. Rothy's, and I don't think that that's a well-placed fear, and I think it's something we can simply confirm with our insurer to make sure.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I was able to make contact with our insurer, talk to them about what your suggestion was, and they were completely okay with it. They did suggest that we perhaps put some sort of signage out, whether it's say swim at your own risk or something along those lines near the step structure. And they said, once you're further along, they're lost control. People would be happy to come out and let us know exactly what we should or shouldn't have out there.
So I guess I'm just looking for a general feeling. If you give me the green light, I'll keep moving on.
I think it's a great idea.
I think you should move forward.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right, well. Okay, thank you. I'll try to keep it moving. Anybody else have anything? All right, then we're going to go to number 12, closed session. I'm going to ask for a vote to go into closed session to consider a personal evaluation of employee and to discuss a confidential attorney-client communication concerning a legal opinion from counsel.
So moved, Your Honor.
Support. Call the roll, please.
Laporte? Yes. McCartney?
Yes.
Watt?
Yes.
Ellery?
Yes.
Kinsotter?
Yes.
Koopa?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
We're going to hold the class session in here because of confined spaces, so if you want to come back, we may take some action. You'll have to go up to the lobby, and we'll come back up and get you. Thank you for coming, you guys. Have a good night.